Okay, so we have a proof here, so we're trying to prove the sine rule. So our to prove is the sine rule. A over sine A equals B over sine B. Okay, and we're just trying to prove that that's true. So our proof comes in two different parts. Okay, you have to consider an acute angle triangle and you need to consider the obtuse angle triangle, and you need them both. Okay. Now in your proof you're going to draw a sketch of a triangle. Use a ruler. Okay, so you just have a triangle ABC with sides. A is opposite A, okay, and so on. And you also have your perpendicular height, H. So what you're going to do is, using this triangle, you're going to find what sine of A is in terms of H and sine of B is in terms of H. That's going to allow you to get H equal to something in terms of sine A and H equal to something in terms of sine B, and then you're going to be able to equate your H's. Okay, so this angle here is A and this angle here is B. Okay, so sine of A, this is your perpendicular, so you know this is a right angle here and a right angle here. So if I'm just taking this left hand side triangle, sine of A is opposite over hypotenuse, so that's H over B. So get H on its own, that's B sine A. Okay, you're going to do the same thing with the right hand side of that triangle. Okay, so sine of B is opposite over hypotenuse. Sine of B is opposite over hypotenuse, and get H on its own, A sine B. And now that if B sine A is equal to H and A sine B is equal to H, you can equate your two answers for what you have for H. Okay, so you get A sine B equals B sine A. You're just putting this equal to this. Now, the reason I put the A sine B first is because in my to prove I have the A first. Now, I want A, okay? So I need to get rid of a sine B here, and I want B, so I need to get rid of a sine A here. So I will be dividing by sine A, sine B. And that will allow the sine B's to cancel here and the sine A's to cancel here. But I'm not going to do that yet, so just hold on to that for a second. You have this from the acute angle triangle. Now we need to do an obtuse. So you just need to make sure that you're considering all options here. So in this triangle, your perpendicular height is here. What would that angle there be? if you consider this is a straight line, this is B, so this would be 180 minus B. Okay, now in this triangle, what you have here is this full triangle including the perpendicular height, because this triangle is right angled. Okay, so this big one is the first thing I'm using. So I'm dealing with sine of A. That's going to be opposite over hypotenuse. So same thing again, sine of A is H over B. So H is B sine A. Okay, so you've got that full triangle there. And now you're going to take this right hand side right angle triangle, this small one here with the dotted lines, and you have sine of 180 minus B. Sine of this angle is opposite over hypotenuse. So sine of 180 minus B is opposite over hypotenuse. So you're just using the dotted line triangle there because that's your right angle triangle that you have. Now, let's remember this. 180 minus B, okay, is going to be in here. Okay, so this would be your B, this bit would be your 180 minus B. In this quadrant over here, sine is a plus. So the answer to B, or 180 minus B, is actually the exact same thing. Okay, so all you're replacing here is sine of B equals H over A. Your answer is the same whether it's sine of B or sine of 180 minus B, only because sine is positive in both of those. Okay, so that's an important point. So what you can just say there, you can draw a little arrow, so make sure you do include this because this will help with your explanation in your proof. And you can just say sine of B is equal to sine of 180 minus B. Okay, having shown this. So what I get again for H, bring that A up, A sine B. So I get the same thing as I had over here. I get A sine B equals B sine A. Okay, so I have the same on both sides. I've proved this much for an acute angle triangle and an obtuse angle triangle, and now I just need to get to the actual to prove part. Okay, so that's all I had down there. Am I okay to get rid of the board and we keep going with our proof? Okay. So underneath those two now, you're just going to write one line, okay? So in both cases, okay, because both cases ended up being the same. In both cases, if we divide by sine A, sine B, we get so I'm going to divide this side by sine A, sine B. And I'm going to divide this side by sine A, sine B. Okay? And because I did it to both sides, I'm not actually changing the equation at all. The sine B's cancel there, and the sine A's cancel there, and we get A over sine A equals B over sine B. Which is what they asked us to prove. Okay? Underneath that, you just write similarly, it may be shown that B over sine B equals C over sine C. Therefore, A over sine A equals B over sine B equals C over sine C.